morning, Australia. Today, I'm very happy to welcome a great artist from Australia, writer, director, actress, dancer, and also a festival organizer. So, I'm going to welcome Angela Blake. How are you, Angela? Welcome to
Thank
our
you.
channel. Thank
Thanks.
you very much for accepting the interview.
Oh, thanks for asking me here, Sherif.
Thank you very much. Angela, tell me first, I've seen you have a website, angelablake.com. You have all your CV, your resume, your past work in details. But you can tell me briefly how did you started in the entertainment in Australia?
Yeah, that's I really need to update that website. All my energy goes to my film festival. I need to think about
Hmm.
myself too. But ever since I was a little kid, since before I can remember, all I wanted to do was perform. And all my
Hmm.
home movies, I loved. There was an Australian artist called Olivia Newton-John, and
Of
she's
course.
Sandy and
Great.
Grease, of course. And so I loved her. Even when I was 3 and 4 years old, I would make
Hmm.
my mum put on her record, and there's just
Hmm.
home videos of me dancing and singing.
Of course.
Heart attack, you're giving me a
Yes.
heart attack. And like I was
And
tiny, and I
and
just loved it.
let's get physical and the
That's
soundtrack of
right.
Grace
I
and
was in love with
two of a
all of
kind.
that.
I love her song, especially "Twist of Fate." I love it.
Oh,
You
I
know,
have to go
I was
re-listen.
born at 71, and my first thing I've been exposed to the music of the 70s, 80s, 90s. It's the best year to be exposed to music. So I
Yeah,
want to tell you, especially Greece and Egypt, the first part. It was a big hit, I think, everywhere. But
yeah.
we have a Metro Golden Mayer Cinema in Cairo, and later on, I worked in the distribution office there. And they used to reply every now and then, Greece for a week. If a film doesn't make a good box office, they put Grace or they put Indiana Jones for a week again,
Make the
and
money.
to make some money in the cinema if a film
That's
bombs.
amazing. What a film. What a film to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Olivia Newton-John was really a big inspiration for me. And we had an Australian TV show called Young Talent Time. And
Yes.
I used to watch that since I can remember. And I begged and begged to go to dance class and be
Uh-huh.
allowed to perform. And then finally, when I was 4, my mum relented and sent me to dance class. So
Yes.
before I can even remember, I was in love. But I went to dance class, and apparently, I don't remember this, but for the first 6 months, my dance school had a live penis for all our classes. We were very lucky. And I used to lie
Yeah.
under the piano for 6 months crying because I missed my mum. But I still wanted to go every week. I still begged to go. So after 6 months, apparently I stood up and started dancing, and then I never stopped. And then that was the first part of my career. I became a professional dancer.
Yes. But I've seen in your biography on the internet, movie database, you did a lot of short films in the beginning, right?
I did. So I worked as a professional dancer, but I always had a call to act. And my mum would tell you I've always been a very dramatic person, which most performers are. And so even though I was dancing and singing and touring a lot around the world, I did a lot of short films through that time. And kept kind of working with people and being asked to do short films, which is really great. And then I eventually got a scholarship. I never planned to move to America. I was very happy here in Australia, and I was working, a lot of touring. And anyway, I got a scholarship to go to the New York Film Academy in Los Angeles, and
Yes.
I just decided to say yes to the universe. I realized maybe I was saying no to things, and as humans tend to do. And I decided to say yes to the universe, and I went, and that kind of really was the beginning of a huge switch in my career away from theatre and being mostly into film. I still do a little bit of theatre, but now I mostly work in film or television.
Yes, but in New York Film Academy, what did you study? Performing or filmmaking?
Yeah, do you know, I studied acting. So I did my degree in acting for screen, but I had this amazing. I had quite a few amazing teachers, and two of them in particular, Ros Gentle, who's an Australian actress, but has lived in LA for many years, and Anthony Montez, who is an American actor, director, writer, producer, and both of them really encouraged me and the rest of the class. And Anthony definitely really took me under his wing. Um, because he saw something in me that would make a great director, or I hope one day a great director. Uh, and I've always written, and that's something I've done my whole life. And so he really took me under his wing, and even within his acting class, and he had an acting class outside, which you got invited to, and I was invited to that, and he would get me to direct the students and direct their monologues, and he really guided me into directing. And I never thought that I could be in love with anything else except performing. And I really got bitten by the writing, and the directing bug has really bitten me. And I love directing, and it's what I actually do a majority of directing these days myself.
Great. Yes, I've seen that. I think during in New York, while you were in New York, you did some off-Broadway shows as well.
Yeah, I did. So I that was a show from LA called Sex,
Uh-huh.
Relationships, and Sometimes Love by Joel Aqueros. And
Uh-huh.
it still is one of my most favorite plays, not only that I've
Really?
performed in, but that I've read. It's a monologue play. So it's all monologues. They're just the most amazing monologues. Some of them quite taboo, um, pushing boundaries. Some of them just so heartfelt. Some so funny. I love this play, and I performed it in LA. One or two seasons in LA, I did, and then we got invited to take it to off Broadway. And I mean, as you know, someone from Sydney, Australia, to perform off Broadway was really quite special. And yeah, I had a great time. For 3 weeks, I was in New York, and that was really great.
Yes, I know. When I used to go to New York, I attended Tribeca Festival several times, and also you cannot resist going to plays while you're covering the festival.
You have
So
to.
I,
That's
I
right. You have to.
yeah, so I went, the usual stuff, Phantom of the Opera. I went to Spider-Man, the musical. I
Mm.
loved it. And some off-Broadway shows as well, very independent theater troops. They do have very small theaters with few seats like that, but it is very
Yeah.
enjoyable, very
Yeah,
enjoyable,
I
I
was in
think.
one of those, what they call in America the black box theater, which is quite
Yes,
literally a black box,
yes,
a
yes,
room with, 10, 30, 50 seats.
yes,
And so many of the off Broadway theaters are that. But you just get the most amazing theater and artists. And especially in LA, everyone thinks of LA, Hollywood, but you have a whole town full of people that are so talented and are writers, directors, producers, actors. And so there's just this amazing theater scene in LA as well, because you have all those creative people together. And even though I moved to LA to really get into film, and it did really propel, I came back to Australia, and that kind of propelled me forward. In LA, I still spent a lot of time working in theater, um,
yes,
because there's nothing quite like theater. At one stage I'm like, I just love theater, it's all I love. And then I do a film, and I'm like, no, I love film, that's all I love. They're both
yes.
amazing.
Yes, of course. But Angela, uh, usually when somebody decide to make a festival, I think he is in a stage of his career, more advanced. I mean, age-wise than yourself. But
Thank you.
I see that you still, I mean, young, yeah, yeah, and you do perform, direct, act, and everything. But what did drive you to make a festival early like this in your
Yeah, it's
career?
a great question. It's a great question. I think a whole lot of naivety. I didn't actually really know what running a festival would entail. And it's a lot of work, let me tell you, as we were talking. Do you know, I've always wanted to do my own thing. and kind of I enjoy being the boss. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do at some stage of my life, but I was just waiting for the right idea. And I was waiting for someone to do it with, because I love collaborating, and I'm a collaborator, and I never wanted to kind of do it all on my own. Except when I write, I like to write alone, but everything else I really like to be in a group. And so I just had moved home from LA, and I'd been in LA 2 years. And the one thing that I really brought home with me, apart from everything I learned from Roz and Anthony and all the inspiration from Anthony to create my own work, in America, it's very much, it was at the time, and now I feel like it's spread around the world. But at that time, to me, coming from Australia, it was definitely an American feeling, you know, don't wait for everyone else to give you a job. Do it yourself. Make your own content, make your own film, start your own business. And I came home from LA really fired up with that passion. And I'd been working for 2 years and studying, and I was so, you know, I had that rhythm and the vibe happening. And I directed a play in a short play festival here called Short and Sweet. And it was a brilliant, brilliant little play by Melbourne playwright Adele Shelley, and it was called Weeing on a Stick. It was about a pregnancy test and a couple. And I auditioned actors, and Ali Crew, who's now my SF3 co-founder, she auditioned as my actress, and she was brilliant, brilliant actress. And so I cast her. Anyway, we kept winning the round of the festival, and we made it about 3.5 months. We made it all the way through to the end of the festival, to the big gala finals. And just being within this festival circuit, I started to get really inspired how this play festival, it's based in Sydney, but it's all around the world. But it gives anyone, from a professional all the way to a beginner, if you want to be on stage, doing anything on stage, writing, directing, acting, this festival gives you that opportunity. If you're a professional and you're between jobs and you want to be on stage, it gives you that opportunity. And I just thought, you know, there's nothing like this for film. And I said that to Ali. I was like, you know, it'd be really cool to have something like this in Australia for filmmakers and around the world. You know, you can try things out and be inspired. And she was like, well, let's do that. And so Ali and I just needed to meet each other. And I said, you know, in LA, and this was back in 2012. And I said, in LA, just as I was leaving, people were starting to film on phones. And this was not happening hardly anywhere in the world at that stage, and a few places. And so we decided to combine the idea of a festival and on mobile phones. And so we launched SF3. It took about 2 years of hard work, and I'm a crazy perfectionist. And I wanted to make it perfect before we launched. And Ali said, Angela, you just got to put it out into the world, and we'll learn as we go. And so we did that. And we're now going into our 8th year this year of SF3. And of course, we had no idea when we launched a festival that we were very lucky that we kind of, you know, I feel like we were at the right time and place. We recognized an opportunity and we acted on that, because a lot of the time, myself included, you know, you have ideas and you don't act on them. And I'm very grateful that Ali and I acted on it. And here we are 8 years later, and look at mobile phone technology and what people are creating. And so, yeah, we were in the right place at the right time and did something about it.
So it is a festival for films realized by mobile phone, right?
That's right.
We do
So
have
all
one
on mobile.
in Egypt like this. But tell me, there are limits on how many minutes, minimum or maximum?
There are. We have a huge broad range now. So over the 8 years, at the very beginning, it was only short films, and it was 6.5
Yes.
minutes max. And there was no reason why. We just had to pick a time limit. And so we picked 6.5 minutes because we felt that's enough time to tell a decent story. But then,
Yes.
you know, as the technology has grown and as people are starting to utilize that technology and filmmakers are starting to actually choose to shoot on mobile, we now have gone up to 20 minutes. So now our time limit for our short section is 20 minutes, anywhere from like 30 seconds to 20 minutes. We have a mini category, which is 3 minutes or less. So that's people who just want to do a lot of 1-minute films, 2-minute films. And then we also, for the 3rd year, I think it was this year, we have a feature film category. So that's films 40 minutes and longer. no maximum. And this year we had 18 feature films, all shot on phones, entered into SF3, and we're screening 9 of those in our festival. So that's a very exciting space as well.
Mm. And usually, how do you receive the film, on the festival website or on platforms like Film Freeway and Festival Zone, Fest Home, and stuff like that?
Yeah, we do it either way. So we do it through our website,
Huh?
and that's for people that's in Australian dollars, just because we're aware of different currencies, and the Australian dollar traditionally is quite low in value compared to other, especially the US dollar. So we do on our website is through the Australian dollar, and you can enter with a YouTube or a Vimeo link that way. Sometimes people enter with Google Drive links. Or Film Freeway is the other platform we use. We just found that Film Freeway we might expand into a few other. There's some specialist ones in China, for instance, and I know there's a
Yes,
specialist one for Latin America as well.
yes.
But at the moment, just Film Freeway in our website. And we are currently open for entries for our 8th season happening later this year too, for everyone that's
Excellent.
interested.
And the last 2 years, you organized the festival or you postponed it because of COVID?
Yeah, look, we went ahead. So we were very lucky. We were very lucky in Australia. For the last 2 years, we had very tight border controls here. Being an island, basically Australia locked itself up for 2 years.
Yes,
And we had very, very low COVID case numbers. So we did, and we also had some very hard lockdowns. So we had in Sydney, where I am, we had 2 very hard lockdowns for a couple of months each. But that was very lucky in that it was in our submission season. And when it came to our exhibition time, which is for us is late spring, late Australian spring, we were back open again. So we were able to go live. We did a hybrid festival, and that's what we're going to continue to do from now on. So we do a live and online. But we did have last year we were at a 10% capacity. So that was the government guidelines here in Australia. We were in a 990 seat theatre. We were on the biggest screen in the Southern Hemisphere at Event Cinemas, and we were allowed to have 99 people in the audience.
excellent,
But the films shot on a phone on the biggest screen in the Southern Hemisphere. It was really quite it was quite an exciting night.
excellent. Angela, tell me, usually the screenings are online, or you plan also to do physical as well?
Yeah, so we are our 7th season, which was delayed from last year. We had a very long lockdown here in Sydney last year. So we've pushed our festival. Our live festival starts Saturday the 26th and Sunday the 27th. So that's live here in Sydney. That's not this weekend coming, the next one. All tickets are on sale now, but the whole festival and actually extended. We have more films online. That's also happening starting on Saturday the 26th of February for everyone around the world. And that goes for 2 weeks until March 13th. And everything's on our website. You can see we do that through the Eventive platform. So we've got it all set up there.
Yes.
But all the links to both the live screenings, which is at the Palace Chevelle Cinema in Sydney for our gala on the 26th. And then we're at the Actor Centre Australia in their beautiful theatre on Sunday. And that's for our SF3 kids. That's all films made by kids and teenagers. And then we have a mini screening and a feature film called One Punch. It's an amazing Australian feature film. And then at 5 p.m. we have another mini screening of our short films, short shorts. And then we have another feature film called Misplaced, which is a Sydney filmmaker. The first film he's ever made. He made a feature film. That's crazy in itself. First film you make a feature. And it's mind-blowing. It's unbelievable, this film. So I'm very excited to screen all these. Available online for everyone to see, no matter where you are.
Excellent. And Angela, finally, I want to ask you, after the festival, you have some artistic plans in Australia and US?
Yeah. I'm currently doing my master's at the moment in creative writing. So I'm going to finish my master's this year. That's the plan. It's a bit daunting, but my final project is a feature film screenplay. So I've written a lot of short films. This is a feature film, and I started this feature film 8.5 years ago. So any writers listening, will feel my pain. So I am very excited. I have to finish my feature film as my, my thesis. So that's my plan, to finish my first, second, third draft of my feature film, and I would love to get that funded and make that.
Yes.
I also work for a company called Bus Stop Films, and this is an amazing film company here in Australia, and we promote accessible filmmaking. So I teach filmmaking to people living with physical and mental disabilities. And so I love that job. I do that. And every year we get a budget to make a film that tours the festivals. So I get to do that. I'm really excited. And then, yeah, I've got a few plays that I've been asked to direct, and bits and pieces. I gig. So bits and pieces here and there. So yeah, it's always a balance, isn't it? To run my festival and do all of that, and run your own business, and try to be creative, and then try to live life as well, right? So I'll do my best at balancing it all.
Yes, I'm very happy that I asked this question because right now I'm organizing with a friend of mine in Brussels the second edition of a festival called Hope International Film Festival, and it shows films either by or revolving on people with mental or physical disability.
Oh, great. Because I actually have a film. So my class, we made one last year. So I have one that I could enter into Hope. That would be amazing. And we shot this film on a iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is amazing. What a camera. Anyone who wants to shoot, if you have an iPhone 13 and you're not making films, you better start. Or a 12.
I remember I saw a couple of years ago a film by Steven Soderbergh. He shot it completely, by a phone. I've seen it. It was a thriller 2 or 3 years ago, and also with the cameras and everything, and the sensitivity of the lenses. Right now, you can shoot, I think, at night and in the morning. You can do very easily something like Blair Witch Project as well.
Yeah, that's right. Look at the Blair Witch. And the Blair Witch made so much money. I read the other day how much. It's staggering. And yeah, we always tell people, it's easy enough for me to say this, but the only thing stopping you from making a film is you at the end of the day, because you can pick up your phone, you can shoot anything, and yeah, everyone should make films. And I'll try to make more films myself this year too.
Excellent. I'm very happy with you accepting the interview and our conversation, and I wish you all the best in the festival and your masters.
Thank you.
Once you have the masters, don't forget to invite us to celebrate it with you in
I will. Thank you. Thank you. And then I have plans on doing my PhD after that too. I was
of course.
Thinking, I think I might in smartphone filmmaking or something like that. I think I'll try for my PhD. Then I'll be a doctor, doctor of smartphone filmmaking.
This is great. You get a lot of sponsors from cell phone companies. Try to approach them for fun later on.
I know. If you're listening, come on, Samsung, come on, Apple,
and Huawei.
Huawei and Xiaomi too. I've seen some films shot on the new Xiaomi's, and they're beautiful. So there's lovely films.
I hope we can screen some of the films in the next edition coming up next September. It will be early September, and yes. Thank you very much for the interview. I wish you a very beautiful morning. Right now it's 24 p.m. in Ecuador, where I am. So it's pretty nice right now. We can connect like that despite the difference of time and distance.
It is. Thank you so much from Sydney to Ecuador. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. Have a beautiful festival, beautiful day.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.